Hey, welcome back to Boonhae, Hosinsul, the practical applications for our patterns, ITF, Taekwondo, our tools. Specifically today, we're going to go into Do-San. We're on our fourth part of the motion. We went over last time, we went over back fist here, and we went over multiple sets of the outer forearm block from the first one, palm, 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 palm. We went over multiple sets of what that application can be. So what we're going to do is move on to the wedge block. Okay. When applying the wedge block, the way that I was taught at the beginning was that you're blocking a choke coming in before the initial setup. The issue with this is that the odds of you stopping the attack that way is unlikely. No one's going to walk up like a zombie and go like this. Okay? And if they do, it's usually right before impact. So if I'm like this close and then I reach for this, you barely have the time to get your hands in. Specifically, if you're not following self-defense rule, which is keep your hands above your solar plexus, above your waist. Okay? KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? It's very hard for you to get your hands out beforehand. And you only need one hand to choke. So if it happens that you go to come this way and you block it, here I come in, you block it out, and then I move and I come in on the other side and I block this way, now I have my hands to punch in this way. So just because you stop both hands from coming in doesn't mean I cannot change the angle to then reach you with the motion. If that's what I want to do, I could change it completely and just hit you and then go from there. But that was the technical application. Technical application is fighting it. So let's say we do the first one. The first one within the pattern is from here is my left hand punches after my outer forearm block. Here, I turn, pivot, take a slight step, sine wave, wedge. Okay? It's a little wide, but I want you to see my body. Okay? Here, wedge and block, and then kick. Okay? You can see that the foot has to go forward in this motion. Does it have to in reality? If I'm defending backwards, no. But for this case, we're kind of going to stick to that motion. Okay? So we're going to practice the person coming forward the same, and me defending in one way or the other, whether it's my foot stepping back or my foot going forward. It could be both. So I could possibly have to step back, and then once I complete my motion, I'm going to then go forward, especially with the what is the technical kick application. Technical is person in guard, here, they come forward, they grab, I do wedge block as it comes in. Already hard for me to do, because if their motion is coming forward, I have to step outside their foot and come in with wedge block here, and it doesn't show that you're grabbing, but your hand should be on the outside, you're grabbing the shoulder, so on, and then somehow I'm supposed to kick with distance, and then as the person moves back, I follow through with my 1-2. So technical application doesn't really work in the sense of moving forward. If I move back, maybe. So I'm here, I'm defending, and I sit back, now I have a possible shot to the groin, and I can follow through. Maybe, okay? But we don't, we step forward. This is taken from Shotokan Kata, 2 variations. Specifically, the first one is within Heion Gundan, when you're coming out. Palm, 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 and then once you hit here, just like in the original pattern, or our pattern, you hit the back fist, but it's a different type of back fist, and then instead of repeating the first part, you turn and you go into L, or back stance, and do the same type of wedge block, front snap, 1, 2. So this is taken from that, where you can go up higher and take the forward stance, And then that's from Jion in Shotokan. Same. We come back. Pam, 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 pam. Okay? So it's 2 punches though. So which means it could be a mixture of both, or it's just the general thought that the application of going into back stance or /L stance didn't make much sense. The first one we're going to go over is not a choke, because a choke, like I said, from that distance, if I'm already getting choked and I try to come up like this, she's bearing down, it's much harder for me to get my hands out. Can I get it out? If I'm stronger, yeah. If I go 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah. Okay? But if I go 1, and then she sees me go 1, she can always punch me in the head once that one comes off and then start attacking me. So, what I want to try to do is try to get both hands through. And if I'm getting choked, these hands aren't coming up the way I want them to unless I'm able to move backwards, which in reality, choke, I could do that anyway if there's nothing behind me, okay? Especially if I'm strong, it doesn't take much for me to move backwards. So, the application we're going to show is somebody grabbing your collars like this and either trying to headbutt you, smash you against the wall, pull you somewhere else, pull you to the ground, pretty much any way to control your collars. Now, nobody wears a uniform collar, but you do wear flannels, especially in Maine, or anywhere in New England. You wear sweatshirts, which can be thick in certain areas around your neck, zipper and or hoodies, anything that I can grip and grab with my fingers that has extra material. The only thing that you don't have to worry about too much is a t-shirt, because a t-shirt, if somebody holds you like this, is going to stretch and rip pretty easily. So you're going to have a pretty easy time coming up through, right? Because it stretches. But anything with a little bit thicker material or strong material that doesn't stretch as easy, like I wear a judo top because it's heavier and it's better to work out in my opinion. Same thing. So when I have a judo top, or that one in particular, it's not as easy to manipulate to go around, other than the untied off parts. So this way. So we're going to create the X block motion, or the X motion for your first one. So when I key here, Now, it doesn't matter which hand is in front, which hand is in back, which is correct, which is not. It doesn't make a difference because it's not the hands that's doing the work. It should be, all you're trying to do is get your elbows down and your shoulders with the hands, right? The hands around the shoulders. So even it shouldn't even be a little motion. So when I'm coming up, it should be a big motion so that the hands go around. I can get my elbows around the arms. That's the big thing, because my shoulders are what's going to help me manipulate the arms. So when you do it, don't do just like a small motion. A lot of times people will just try to hit with the forearms, right? So they'll come around and go like this, like that. Okay? This. And they get stuck and they say, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, you only need half of the technique. You're not committing through the whole thing. It's like, it would be like me doing one of my major choke self-defense is without a wall, is to lift it up, turn your body and come down. And then every time, it doesn't matter how much training somebody has, every time, as soon as they try to increase speed, they go like this. Here they go half up, they turn, and they drop it down on top of the arms like this. So, and then they say, I can't break it, I can't break it. Well, you're doing half the technique. When people try to speed through things, in self-defense, you need to be able to do it fast. But you can't do something fast if you're not able to do it slow. Every self-defense technique I do, when I show it to a student, they go as hard as they can to me, like a choke or a bear hug or something, and then I do the technique super slow, because I want to show that it isn't my strength or my speed that makes the technique work. It is the body mechanic behind it. And then you can add power and speed once you get it down. Okay? You have to have a foundation. before you start building on top of it. Okay? Otherwise, it's just going to crumble. So, for example, the choke one. So I'm here, I lift, I turn, and I break down. Okay? Now you see that that has a lot of mechanics to it. Okay? Here. But if I go full, it doesn't take as much, but I still stick to the pop, 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 pop every time. So it's the same. So when I choke, or I'll go first, or grab, so when she grabs me, pop, pop, pop. It's the same rule that's applied. I have to first get my arms through the crevice, or the opening, the crack. I have to expand and lift my elbows at least to the arms. I have to be able, because if it's stretchy, her arms can follow me. But then her muscle, the mechanics of her body, are now not as strong as they were bearing down on my chest here. So I can manipulate a little bit easier. So it has to be broken down a little bit. It should be at least 3 movements here is 1, 2, 3. Okay? If I was explaining it to a child, it'd be the same thing. When I go to do sine wave, I go 1, 2, 3. When I come back out, slow motion, 1, 2, 3. And then the final is same, 1, 2, 3. So it's important to be able to apply your pattern with the self-defense technique and the self-defense technique with the pattern, especially when you're trying to say, well, here is a practical application for said pattern. Okay? So, here, X block it through, good. Come out and around, back on top of the shoulders. The goal is not to break the grips, okay? If they do, okay, then you follow through with the technique. If it's a shirt or for grips or something like that, the person let's go, they want to hit you, your hands are on the outside, you can possibly defend if you need to. If I come around, you can lift your hand, defend, okay? And grab. You don't pull your hand back. Okay, so now I'm going to show her something. If my hands are like this, and let's say I break it through, pump, grab it, okay? And it's still here, and they're like, oh, well, the punch, I can punch you. Don't pull your hand back, because that's a whole other timing that I have to set up. Instead of just going with my flow, okay, grab that, right? Going with my flow, you go to punch, and I cover. Okay? And then we can go into all types of motions that we want to go through the flow. It's much easier to expand your body and avoid. This is basically just rising block, which could be, I mean, you could go with the next step, okay? But we're not, we're going to change it to something else. But let's say here, I defend, and I can throw. Or here, I defend, and then I recover them up, and then I have knees, I have headbutt, I can go back to the ground if I want to keep distance. So don't cover yourself this way and avoid and let go of something that you have if you don't need to. The distance. That means I have to come back to them, and which means they can, because you still have me with this hand, right? So when you let go of me, and I go like this, or I go like this, now you can just re-chamber and go somewhere, re-chamber and just keep piling the punches on. So with this, I come up, you go to punch, you go to punch again, I come in, and then we can go for wherever, okay? So, I can knee, I can kick, I can do whatever I need to do. So, don't bring your hand back just because this is good distance fighting, right? So a good distance fighting is, especially if somebody's kicking, okay, good. Okay, punching, okay, good. From a distance, sparring. If I'm in self-defense mode, if I already have a connection with somebody, I shouldn't make the connection slower by disconnecting too far. If here, deflect. Because a person that's this, and then I go like this, has to pull their hand back to punch me. They're not just going to take their hand off and go like this. They might, okay, but I should feel when it's a disconnected, and then I can pop my arm up for defense. Okay, I should feel that because I'm connected to my opponent. But it takes training to actually be able to feel all the body mechanics. You need to practice. All right, now back to the nose. Okay, so grabbing the collar, same thing, going through, coming out to the shoulders, and from here we're going to go to the basic set because there's other ones that I want to teach, so this is what we're going to go through. So the kick is going to be represented by a knee, so a knee palm, and then you can step forward or you can pull it back depending on your self-defense. But now we're going to step it back. She sends me backwards. Now the way that we're going to separate the body to make sure that we can do those punches is we're going to follow through with a headbutt. Okay? Because the motion is here, palm, palm, my body goes forward, then I'm going to headbutt to create distance, and then we're going to go hand, hand. Okay? So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit because I want to get through some other ones that you can possibly do so it takes care of both sides. Okay? So here, clearing, knee, palm, headbutt, bang. When you're doing a headbutt, don't arch your head back. Okay? As soon as I kick or knee, palm, my head goes this way, bang, inside. Right away. I already have something. You have me, I have you. So make sure that bang, and then you just pull them in and drive your head in. Don't pull your head back. If you pull your head back, there's a lot of open space here that allows you to smash. So, grab me. So here I go 1, 2, bang, and then as I come down, bang. This sets it back, I drive, palm, palm, or if you want to stick to the pattern, right, left. Okay? Whichever hand is in front, you can throw first. But if I'm pushing somebody like this, usually this hand trails. And then I go 1, 2. Okay? So to go over it, we have our wedge block of someone grabbing our shoulders. It can work on a choke. I just don't like it as much as a choke. I prefer with somebody grabbing your collar or grabbing you in some way, shaking you, whatever. Okay? So from here, wedge block, knee. As you're coming down, drive your head forward into them. And then however you want to set up your hands, you want to stick to pattern, 1, 2, you want to just follow, 1, 2 with your hands, create distance, come back. Okay, that's the first one. Now I'm going to show you real quick another representation of the way that it was shown to me by my original instructor, Do-San Tul. Before it was T's Taekwondo, Vu's Taekwondo. So Vu's Taekwondo, this is the original way that I was taught. It's still based off the original choke variation. So when the person is here, you know what we'll add, instead of making it the choke variation, let's make it stand realistically like I had it. So what I'll do is I'll hold the collar the same. This is actually a better setup for the technique. And it's the same, so you're doing the over the top. Okay, go ahead. Over the top here, you're grabbing. And when you're doing the motion, instead of kicking, you're going to sit down to your butt and place the foot either here, sideways, or straight onto the body like a real front snap kick, and you're going to pull me over you. Okay? Now, the way that it was shown to me originally, I just don't want Megan to hurt her knees. Originally was when you roll a person over, you roll over on top of them and finish the punches. Okay? But we only need to go up to this part because this up to this part is good. Rolling over and then attacking the person adds a lot of risk to the technique. So I switched the top because the technique is basically, from his military background, is a judo throw, you know, military fatigue, so on, collared shirts. They're grabbing this type of stuff. So, especially uniform. So here, I'll break first. I grab this, same exact thing. Instead of the knee, you're going to kick. You're going to sit back and you're going to press the foot. As you sit, looking for the body, rolling over on that side. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, so I changed the angle here. Same thing. I'm grabbing the collars. He presses out, sits back, presses the foot. For the roll, follow through. Okay, so on this last one that I'm going to show is going to be a variation of the same type of thing, but you're going to utilize the kick this time instead of the knee or something, changing it in some way. Okay, and it's going to involve the angle. Okay, so when I go to grab, same exact thing. One of the ways that I saw it, I don't remember. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name. It's like ITFRX or something like that. He has a good way of like showing using body movements of knife, and then we're moving around opposite knife, It's kind of like a hand movement, like Wing Chun, but it's used for ITF style motion, something like that. He's got a good way of showing it. I saw his variation of the same angle, and I like the attack set. I don't necessarily like the defense set. So when I'm blocking, because it exposes too much of one side. So if they throw a punch on this side, I do the same here, and then I do wedge and block here. Okay. And I'm covering the head on this, and then I'm attacking the knee, or if I'm switch guard, I'm attacking the outside knee here, and then I'm following through doing the same attack. The issue I have is really only the hand on the other side, what's it doing once I do wedge block, because I have both hands tied up. If I was like here, and I like automatically move them over here, and then maybe I have an angle, okay? But now we're veering off from the pattern angles, right? It's not his issue, because he could easily say, well, you can move however you want. That's great. That's fine. I don't have an issue with it. I only have an issue with the shown application, because I'm sure that if you ask him, he would say you could do however you want to do it, because it's reality. So, but I'm just going to veer off of his way. I have no issue with the block, wedge, kick the leg. I'm going to use the kicking of the leg, but we're still going to use it off of the collar grab, or the grab here. Okay? Because ultimately, I think that this is what is meant for some form of wedging block. When you go back to Okinawa or karate or anything like that, you have, I'm almost positive that some type of grab motion that you're trying to avoid, or choking motion or something like that you're trying to defend. So utilizing what it was originally for in a correct and strong manner is a good thing to do. So, alright, so I'm grabbing the collar here. Same thing. Megan's going to brace and break. Now, from this angle, maybe she tries to knee me, or I feel that she's moving me, so I go to move her like this. Okay? So you see, let's go this way. Let's say I pull her off the side this way, and I'm trying to tip her over or something like that. This allows an angle. Stay there. So hopefully you can see it. Now I'll do it again. This allows the angle of the leg to contact the knee. That's that, right? Palm. She can drive it into the side of my knee, or if you want to go to like normal self-defense, if you can move the body, you can possibly sweep, basic sweep, if you can manipulate the arm, go around, and sweep in this way, right? So you can move the leg and back, sweep the leg. If not, you still have kicking the knee, which is the option. So here, attack the knee, palm, whatever is available, palm, and come back, okay? From there, you can go back to the first scenario, once you attack the knee, because let's say from this, I go to knee Megan, and she pulls me. Oh, see? Okay? I see, but no one else probably saw. Okay? So go again. Let's try right here. Okay? So I go to knee, right there. Okay? Even before I haven't done anything, her leg is at a slight angle, there's my leg. Okay? So if they're trying to manipulate me and move me, if they use their upper body to move me without using their legs, they're going to have a wide, big base, which then allows this. And you can go for the groin again if you need to. So it's all depending on your range, right? It goes back to the beginning. If I'm stepping forward doing wedge block, I'm too close to do a kick. If I step back and do wedge block, I might have a kick, right? But the pattern is forward. So it's all about how you can visualize what you're doing, specifically in your pattern. Okay? Practice all three variations if you feel like you want to. You can practice just the one. But if you choose to do just the one, that means you have to make sure that it's good on both sides. So obviously 1, 2, or you can make one different, one and then two different. Okay? When you're doing the roll variation, you want to practice the sacrifice throw Make sure you're practicing with somebody who has done it before and knows how to roll. Otherwise, you're just going to land on their head. In reality, it doesn't matter, but in obviously training, you want to make sure that you practice as safe as possible. Okay? All right, so we'll be back with part 5, I believe, who knows at this point, on Do-San in the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one.